know that you guys want to have a leg. So you guys will want to go ahead and click the blue got it button. So when Eric or I record, we have to have your permission. So you'll just hit the blue got it button at this point. So every day you'll have to see that button.
Yeah, I think that's the legal stuff. I don't know. That says, yay, I'm okay with being recorded.
That's the legal stuff.
So it's 11:02, everyone. Welcome to 133A.I3 / I1, because you can come at this time, which is 11 to 1, or you can come tonight from 6 to 8. You can do both if you can stand that.
And you can mix match. If you know one day you pick 11 to 1, and then like tomorrow you say, no, I can't do 11 to 1, I want to do 6 to 8. So you guys have a lot of choice.
And you don't need to tell us, just come.
Yep.
So my name is Eric Brown. I am the instructor for 133, that 133 part. So I will be with you Mondays and Wednesdays of every week. And go ahead, Cindy.
And I am Cindy Cummings. I'm the one that you guys have been receiving, like, I'm sorry, millions of emails from, just trying to get you introduced to the classes a little bit. And I'll be meeting with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays from either 11 to 1 or 6 to 8. So you guys, unfortunately, when I set up my class, it assigned a Zoom link and it forgot to use my personal one. So there is a different link from 11 to 1 and 6 to 8, but I sent those to you. So in the email that I sent you, if you choose to do my 11 to 1 class, it's a different link than from 6 to 8.
Nice. I should say, if you to address me, Eric is perfect. I'm so happy to be called Eric.
And I am Cindy. We are first name basis in here.
That's right. Make sure when you say my name that it has a K afterwards. Otherwise, I might be a little upset. Just kidding. Doesn't matter at all. So you probably already have the impression that Cindy has everything together and I don't. And that's like 100% true. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't send me emails and ask me questions. I am here to help you as best I can. And I know Cindy and I have the same philosophy here. All we want is for you all to succeed, and we will do everything in our power to make that happen. And the squeakier the wheel, the more oil you get. So squeak away, you all. If you need something, let us know. We're here to help you. I am going to be running what I call tutoring hours from 8:30 to 11 every morning, Mondays through Thursdays. If you want to come in person, I have an office in McDivitt Hall. I don't know the number. I think it's 253. You can come there. Otherwise, it'll always be on Zoom. I'll add that link at some point to our Canvas shell, and I'll be there for anything you need. I can also make appointments. We can make appointments. I would just need like 24 hours in advance notice to figure that out. So let's talk due dates for our assignments. Cindy has all of the 033 assignments due on Sundays. We heard one person vote that sounds wonderful. Does anyone else want to chime in about due dates? What sounds great for you?
I've always had Sunday. That's always worked well for me. So
that's 2 for 2 on Sundays. Love it. Thanks, Jake. Anyone else have a, go ahead, Madison.
I'm sorry. I'm okay with having Sundays too. Just because, like she said, work and life is super hard. So Sundays is perfect.
And I guess if we just do Sundays, then they can know everything's usually due. You guys, when I go over my class tomorrow, there will be just one exception, and that is the forums, only just because you have to respond. And if we don't wait until Sunday and you have to respond to somebody, so that will be the only exception is, and we'll show you where those are in my class tomorrow, but I'm not going to talk about those now, but that will be the only exception of what that is not due on Sundays.
So you are enrolled in 2 classes. So this is called the co-requisite 133. That's why there's 2 instructors, Cindy and I. And That means you have 2 sets of assignments. There's a set for the 133 that I grade and keep track of, and there's a set for the 033 that Cindy grades and keeps track of. So would you like everything for both classes due on Sundays, or do you want different due dates for the 2 classes? And I think I already have the answer, but how do you all feel about that?
Same due date, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Yes,
I feel like it would be so much easier.
same due date. Seriously, yes, please.
Same would be great.
Oh, this is fantastic. It's like we're all on the same page. You're in a stats class, and what we have 4 out of, I think between our 2 classes, 48 students. So let's see, what % of that has responded? Let's see, 4 divided by 48 is, okay, so 8% of the class says they want everything due on Sundays, and we're just going to assume that applies to everyone. So we just took a small sample of 4 out of however many of you responded, and we're going to infer that everyone in both sections wants things due on Sunday. Isn't that exciting? We just did some stats. We'll do some hypothesis testing later to see if this was a good assumption for me to make, but I think that's great. So first note, everything in my course is due on Tuesdays right now at midnight. I'm going to change all of that to Sundays at midnight. Another note on due dates. We've already talked about wild lives, 5 children, cheerleading, etc. I have 2 children. I don't know how you do 5. I can barely manage 2, bless you. Maybe I should do your best to meet all the due dates. If life gets in the way and you need help and you need more time, just reach out. I'm happy to help. There is an ultimate final due date where everything has to be done and turned in and graded, and that's the end of the semester, like December something 19 or 18. Yeah, probably the 18th.
We take the final on December 15th.
Okay, so like December 11th-ish is probably like the final hour. And then yes, our finals on the 15th. So that's in that week, like we can't give you any more extensions or grace because we have to have things done. I will say this class is very easy, like a snowball thing. So if you start getting behind, please reach out, let us help you to get caught up, because it can quickly just get crazy out of hand. And then it could be no hope. So we don't want you to get in that situation. That's why we have deadlines. They're not there to punish you. They're not there because whatever, they're there to help you. Any questions on that part? Or Cindy, anything you want to add?
No, but like if you, like I said, if we notice you, like we feel like you're starting to get behind, you'll hear from either Eric or I. We'll reach out to you and say, hey, can we help? So, we'll also keep an eye on that. So if you hear from us, we're just here to help you.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm just going to pull up the syllabus. So here it is. If you want to know where to find it in Canvas, you would go to important course information, and it's right here, the syllabus. And I just want to go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought of something. I know that we have some students who have taken the 133 class before, and I do want to mention that it is a different course pack. So if you, as far as the worksheets are all different than they were in previous semesters. So I do want to mention that you probably will need to get the new course pack. The notes are very similar, but the worksheets are all different. So I just wanted to point that out really quick because somebody did mention that, that they had taken it in the past. Do I need a new one? And as I said, the worksheets are all different.
Super good point. Yes. So if you're someone that's been on Chegg or what are all the online help things where all of the worksheets have been posted at some point, they're all slightly different and they won't be up there yet until people start trying to go there. Please use Cindy and I as Chegg instead of Chegg, because we'll help you learn it. Like in my mind, so here's the thing, the worksheets are the exams. So if you can do the problems in the worksheets, you can crush the exams. So it's in your best interest to figure out how to answer the questions, not to get the answers. And we are here to help you. There's tutors and CSS there to help you. They will talk you through it. I think having someone on Chegg answer the question for you and have them write it up isn't super helpful. And Chegg is one of many. Of course, Hero is another one. Plus, you have to pay for that mess. Don't do that. You pay us to help you with this. I did toss in a link of just the worksheets right here. These are all the new ones. If you like doing things digitally, you can open this up and do things digitally. Otherwise, Cindy's totally right. You probably want to buy the new course pack. I forget what the price is.
I think it's $22. Somebody asked that said that they had got something that they have it ready for a download to print. You guys, if I just want to warn you that course pack is like over 700 pages. So it's not
760.
760 pages. So the $22 would probably be better for your printer and your ink cartridge than trying to print that thing out. So it's up to you. If you want to print it and you got something that says your download is ready, then you can do that. Otherwise, I think the $22 and it'll be printed and organized for you, and you don't have to buy paper and all that.
Yeah, it might actually be cheaper, but whatever works for you all.
I think much
do what's best,
cheaper.
yeah. I did have one student talk about who had been in the class before, and they have the notes. The notes haven't really changed at all, but there is enough research that there's connection between writing and memory. So filling out the course pack with a fresh set of eyes and a new pen and using the same pen and all that, I think is better for you than just reading over what you already did. Again, just advice, you do what's best for you. I am not one that wants pictures of your filled out course pack. Maybe I should be to like force you all to fill it in, because it's really important that you fill it in, but I'm of the mindset that that's busy work for all of us. So if you had to do that in prior classes where you took pictures of what you did and submitted it to me, I don't do that. If you think that's helpful, maybe I should do that. I don't know. You all let me know. But if you look at the things that you're turning in, it's just the worksheets and the projects for me, not pictures of the course pack. But please fill it in. I think it's good for you. Let's talk about how we're going to run these classes. So you have access to YouTube videos of Alana Tuckey filling out the course pack. I'll have to look at where that's at. It's somewhere in here. And you can go watch those if you would like, and if they're helpful. Today, I'm going to talk through section 1.1. I'm going to like lecture it, and we're going to work together on it. And then in the future, starting tomorrow, Cindy's going to be lecturing the course pack during the class sessions live. And that's where you can fill it in either 1 to or 11 to 1 or 6 to 8. So you'll have Cindy who will be recording and filling it in, and you can ask questions as you go and all that mess, or you can watch the YouTube videos for filling out the course pack.
And I will be posting my recordings also in Zoom, in my Canvas course as well.
Great question about the link to the course pack. This is the link to the course pack under important course
Okay.
info right there.
Thanks.
You are most welcome. So then during my class sessions, what we're going to do is your homework. So the idea is when you're with Cindy, you're going to get exposed to the material. You're going to figure out the definitions. You're going to see example problems, or you're going to do that on the YouTube videos. And then during the 133 time, I might start class with like a suggested reference sheet from what you covered the previous class period. Takes whatever questions you have, and then we're going to dive into the worksheets. We'll split you into groups. If there's a large enough amount of people showing up and you're going to work through the problems, Cindy and I will be popping into the breakout rooms, making sure things are going well, answering questions. We'll be getting back together as a whole group from time to time. And if there's like a particular question that stumped everyone. We'll go through it. We'll also be kind of going over the answers of what you got, making sure everyone's got 100%. And that will be how the course runs. The primary outside of class homework that you will be doing is the MyStatLab stuff. So there are, help me here, Cindy, there are quizzes that you'll be doing for me and homework assignments that you'll be doing for Cindy, right?
Yeah, I'll bring up the MyStatLab in my course tomorrow.
So don't worry about that for today. We'll start that. You'll figure that out tomorrow. So you'll have paper stuff that you're submitting to Cindy and I, that's the worksheets. You'll have projects that you're submitting to me, which is a large portion of your grade. And then you'll have the MyStatLab. And then there are 2 exams. There's a midterm and a final. We're going to proctor them on Zoom, meaning you'll just turn on a Zoom thing and you'll have like a video of, you'll have your video on looking at your exam. And then I'll be sitting there just kind of big brothering you like, oh, I see you're cheating, stop that. Mostly it's just a way to help encourage honesty that I know it's you taking the exam and that you're only using the allowed things. And the things you're allowed is there's an exam notes packet that you get to bring, plus you get to write your own reference sheets in addition to that, which is partly why at the beginning of each class I'll say, hey, put this on your reference sheet because you'll need this when you take the exam. So you'll have this entire packet available to you that you can have out as you're working through problems, and then whatever you've written.
Eric, how many pages did you say for the reference sheet? Did you?
I didn't say. What do we usually say? Is it 3 pages for the midterm and 6 for the final double-sided, or is it 2 and 4?
I think it's usually 2 and 4, but it's whatever you say.
2 and 4 sounds great.
Okay.
Let's do that. Taylor, great question. How do you organize the course pack? It is a monster course pack. Let's see. Ashley said you got yours in one big binder and then you take out what you need. That's a great idea. I've seen some people do 2 binders, one for the notes that you'll be taking with Cindy or on YouTube, and the other for the worksheets that you will be turning into us. And then there's like a ton of reference material and practice stuff that we'll be referring to from time to time that's like kind of in the middle. So maybe even 3 binders, but whatever works for you all, make it happen. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, if you don't want to buy one of those great big binders, I would separate them, like put your notes. And you guys, I can go over page numbers tomorrow, like what, and then you'll see the notes end, and then it starts the appendix A. I think it's appendix B, C, and D, maybe. There is a right at the very beginning, what do you call that? Table of contents.
There it is, yes.
I'm
right
out
here.
of English now. I forget all those words. And then the worksheets are always in the back of our course pack. They start in the back. And so I would put maybe your worksheets. Now, again, if you have one great big binder, you can put them all in one. But our worksheets start on page 455. I pulled mine. I've always had mine in one great big binder, but like I'm tired of lifting weights. So I got rid of that big old binder and I separated them into a couple of different binders now. But it's whatever you have or whatever you want to get.
Question. So do we just go to the school to get our book and order it from them?
Yeah, so if you don't have to order it, it's ready for pickup. It's $22 it's at the central campus. So it's not available for pickup at the Lenawee or the Hillsdale campus. If you wanted to have it delivered, there is a $12 mailing fee to have that, unfortunately. But for right now, you guys, so if you haven't got it yet, you do have, now again, I don't have this link in mine, but in Eric's Canvas course, which unfortunately I don't have access to yet, he does have that link to the course pack. So you didn't have to print out the whole thing. So like if you need a worksheet, he actually has just a worksheet link as well. So if you wanted to print out just, the worksheets that we're going to be working on, tomorrow I'm going to be lecturing, and I can send you guys an assignment sheet. Like tomorrow I'm going to be lecturing sections 2.1 and 2.2, I believe. So if you haven't got your course pack yet, and I can send you guys a remind. Actually, I'll look here just a minute before class ends, and I believe it is section 2.1 and 2.2 that I'm lecturing tomorrow. You could just print that out from the full course pack. Look at where the notes are for 2.1 and 2.2, and maybe just print just that out if you don't have your course pack yet. Yes, there's only one course pack. So the one course pack, and it does say for 133, I kind of wish they'd also say 030. Well, they don't, because not every stats class is a correct class. You guys are just lucky. You get that extra help. So yes, it is an 033, 133 course pack. So Eric, can you also show you your Biblio link? So this is where you get, when I kept saying that there will be an access code, it's over on the left-hand side. Actually, you already put it there. You are so good.
Well, easy. Click it. This is what you see. Wait for it. You'll see your books. So if you're in other classes that use Biblio, which is probably true, you'll see all your books. You'll select this one, and it'll give you this code. You copy it, and that's what you use in My Stat Lab.
You guys do not try to copy, like highlight that and do a copy paste, because that is not the full code. It goes
just do
further.
that.
Yeah, just click the button.
And it
then
takes you
you'll
right there.
Yes, and then you'll put in my course ID that I sent you, the Cummings, whatever it is. It depends on whether you're in the I1 course or if you're in the I3 course. So when I kept saying, you'll hit the Biblio link, but if you hit the Biblio link in my 033 Canvas course, it does not work. And Eric, we found that out. The reason why is they only put them in the 133 courses.
It looked like there were some other questions. Did some of you all want to jump in, turn on your mic and ask away, or go
I
ahead,
have a
Laura?
question.
Yeah.
I have never worked in a class yet that has worksheets. So to reiterate that one more time, I can just print the worksheets online, or I can just do them on the site.
So you have a PDF of the worksheets. So it'll look something like this. And I'm going to go to where we would start notes. I happen to have one of these writing pads with a pen, and I can draw on the screen like this, and it's just like writing with ink. So it's pretty easy for me to write in and do that. I'm happy for you all to do that if you have that capability. If you want to try typing, it's a little clunky because math and typing isn't great, but feel free to do that. Yeah, whatever works well for you. Go ahead.
So you guys, what I was going to tell you, what most people do to submit their worksheets where they need to be submitted is to do old-fashioned, use the paper version that's in your course pack. And then in my 033 course, I have a link, a video how to download Cam Scanner or Adobe Scan on your phone and take a picture CD to change a PDF or change your written copy into a PDF, and it will upload it. And I can actually show you how to do that in class tomorrow. So I will show you how to submit your document and take a picture of it through, you can either do it through a, like if you have a scanner on a printer, you can do it that way. Most people just use it with their phone.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, and I'll go through that tomorrow with you.
Great question. Other questions that anyone has?
So I know you went over it, but you said there is a book that we have to get or should get, and it's basically showing the same thing as what you're showing right now, but it's just easier because it's a paper copy, right?
That's it. That's it. Yep.
Okay.
So if you can print it cheaper by downloading it, great. If you prefer to do it digitally, great. Otherwise, you can, for $22, you can pick it up from the bookstore at any point. You can pay cash. You can put it on your student account. There was a little mix up. We like to have these things automatically charged to you, so you just go in and pick it up so you don't have to pay. But that didn't work out this semester. Okay, so, oh, someone say? No, okay. So let's do a little bit of like Zoom stuff. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. And first, can everyone at least type hi in the chat so that we all know how to type in the chat? And if anyone doesn't know how, let us know. Okay, there we go, love it. One thing I want you to note, when you're in the chat, there's a little thing right above where you type that says to, and right now it probably says everyone. And you can click that and you can send a chat to to just one person that no one else sees. So that's a great place. Like if I'm talking away like a crazy man and you're like, please stop talking so I can ask a question, but you're nervous about that, you could privately message Cindy and say, I have no idea what he's saying right now. And she will stop me. And please, I would love for you all to stop me and say, crazy man, stop. So you can do that, or you could private message me if there's a question you have that you don't want other people to know about. That's an option. You can also private message your classmates and say, hey, let's meet up and study. So that's an option there in Zoom. You all probably know that the greatest. Next, there's a thing where, oh, wait. So yeah, there's a reactions button. So how many people love statistics? Give me a thumbs up. Oh, I guess I got to give you an option if you don't love statistics. If you don't love statistics, give me the, I don't know. Oh, there's too many things. I'm too old for this. Give me the open mouth. I don't know, y'all. If you see where I'm doing this, it's under the reactions button, which is next to the breakout room, which is, there you go. Oh, Laura, you've got you figured out how to do the upside down thing. Nice. I mean, we're going to change your mind, hopefully, but so there's those reactions. Feel free to use those things. Okay, next we're going to try out the whiteboard. So I'm going to open a whiteboard. All right, here it is. Let's see if you can draw something on the whiteboard. Ooh, this is interesting. How's it going, everyone? Okay, so I'm hoping to be able to make some use of this. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping to throw the worksheets up on the screen so that when you're working together, you can write on the screen to see what each other is doing. We're going to play with this as we go forward. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask this, but you don't have to. First, I'm going to figure out how to stop sharing. Okay, there we go. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, I did that. Does everyone see how to turn their video on? I just turned mine off. Hey, I'm back. If you are not comfortable turning your video on, which it looks like most of you aren't, feel free to leave it off. If you are comfortable on, hi Laura, turn on your video. I am going to ask when we take exams that you
have a video so that I can watch what's happening as you take the exam. If that's a problem, let me know and we'll work that out. Yay, Jake, hi. I am a teacher because I like people, not because I like math. I do like math, by the way. But I love like the relationships and talking to people and getting to know people and then helping you succeed. And this is one of those classes that tons of people hate, but this is a class that gets you into nursing or all kinds of places. So I want that to happen for you because I care about you as a person. So it's awesome if you're able to turn on your videos, your screens, and we can see each other. It also slows down connectivity. So feel free to leave it off. You may not be comfortable. Feel free to leave it off. The only time you're going to have to turn it on is when you take the midterm and final.
Eric, I know a lot of people may be thinking right now. So first of all, you guys, the midterm is scheduled for October 17th. So that's on a Monday. So for those of you that work, yes, there it is, Monday, October 17th. And the final we have on Wednesday, December 15th.
Yeah, that probably.
Oh, maybe it's the 14th. It's probably the 14th.
So are the finals gonna like coexist? Like it's one final for you and one final for him, or one final altogether?
Yes, yeah, good question. I'm the nice one, Laura. Remember that. I'm the nice
Okay.
one.
I'm taking notes. I'm gonna write
You
that down.
are taking notes. Cindy is the nice one. Cindy does not have midterms and finals. So the only thing that I have that you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking some quizzes, not midterms, finals, and they're located in Canvas, but they're not going to be proctored. They're going to be some that you're going to be taking, and I'll show you where those are tomorrow when I go over my class. But the only two exams that are going to be proctored is the midterm final. And you guys, just to let you know, the midterm is 25%. Is that correct, Eric? Percent of their grade, and the final 25% of their grade?
Yes.
So they are a big part of your grade for your 133 grade.
And if you're feeling scared because of that, which I would too, 50% of your grade is 2 assignments, right? First, we do a really awesome thing. In your course pack, there is a part of the worksheets, there's a thing called the sample midterm exam. Let me see if I can find it. It's in here. And that sample midterm exam, which is on page 599, is worth 20% of your final exam grade. So this is essentially what your midterm exam is going to be. And you're going to figure out some marijuana possession arrest rates there. So this is what it's going to look like. It will be very similar to this in format and question type. You're going to work through this. Cindy and I are going to help you. I'm going to grade it. This will count as 20% of your final grade. So everyone should start with a solid 20% on your midterm. And then the other 80% of your grade will be the actual midterm. The same thing is true for the final exam. We have a sample final exam that you're going to take. You're going to work on it. You can get help from Cindy and I getting through it. We want you to get 100% on this, but it's practice. It's essentially the final exam. It's a little longer than the actual exam, so don't freak out when you see like 20 pages. But this is also 20% of your cumulative final exam, and then 80% will be what you do when it's proctored.
Is it timed?
No, not really. I won't cut you. No, it's not, because, well,
I was going to say, Eric, you have other classes. What time are you able to start?
I could start at 8:30 and go till, I could start at 6 a.m. and go till 1. if you want it. Or you could come, this time period, I have a class that starts right at 1 o'clock. So I can't stay late after this class, but I can come early and stay up to 1. And
Yeah,
then the
you guys,
6th. Go ahead.
yeah, that will be plenty of time.
Okay.
And if you want to come to the night class, I can stay till we pass out, like 6 to 1 in the morning. So I'm not going to say
That's
you
way
have
too
to stop
late.
now. Yeah,
That is way too late, Laura.
it is way too late. I would plan for at least the 2 hours. Some people might take 3, depending upon how fast or slow you are. I can confidently say that everyone who does the work, works through the worksheets, works through the sample midterm, is able to write down all the notes by either attending class or doing the Zoom stuff. They pass the exams. Many get 4.0s, many get 2.0s. The people that fail are the people that aren't able to find the time to do the work for whatever reason. No judgment from me. I get it. It's just the reality. If you don't have the time to do it, it's a tough class, so you got to stick with it. But if you're able to stick with it and do the work, you'll pass, probably even a 4.0. So, and you get reference sheets, you get an exam, your own written ones, the ones we've put together. We're not asking you to memorize anything. We're asking you to demonstrate an understanding of how to work through the stuff, which is why we put so much focus on the practice problems on the worksheets and in my stat lab, because if you can work through them on your own, you're good. You just got to overcome that scaredness of the exams, and I get that part. That's real. Okay, other questions? So
yeah, you guys, like Eric was saying, that these are 2 separate classes. So at the end, you will get separate grades for your 133 class and your 033 class. So you may get the same grade, you may get different grades. So because you're doing different things for the classes, it's very possible that you could get different grades for each class. But hopefully you get 4.0s for both.
That's what we'd love, but listen, we're happy with 2.0s. That gets you places, that gets you where you got to go. At Jackson College, that's the passing grade. So anything below a 2.0 means it won't count, I don't think, towards a degree. Or, if you're in the nursing program, since it's like a scale to get in, you want the 4.0 because that
gets you more points.
Yes, get you more points and more likely to get accepted to the program, that second admit. Okay, so we're going to go to page 25 of your course pack, and we're going to start this mess.
So you guys, if you don't have your course pack or you weren't able to print it off right now, just get some plain paper and you can just, write in and then you can copy it later.
And you can open the course pack here if you want and follow along digitally as well. Let's see. So did I tell enough? Do you all feel like I'm human yet? That I'm not this Mr. Professor man that is way better than you and way smarter and blah, blah, blah. I hope you'll get used to that I'm here with you. I finished a master's degree just last semester in statistics. It was rough doing that and working and all this. So I can't say that I understand right now what you're going through with working and online in school, but I just did it. So I do get life is crazy. I am human. I am a very average, intelligent person. So I struggled with this stuff too. So if you struggle, please don't feel embarrassed about it. Please say, I don't get that at all. And it's probably my fault because I'm saying it wrong. And also, if you think you're bad at math, you're wrong. I guarantee you can think back into all your math education and somewhere along the line there, some teacher said, hey, idiot, why can't you answer the question? And that made you think you were bad at math for the rest of your life and you had a hard time learning it. So our job, or part of my goal here is to say, you can do math if you want to, and you're intelligent enough to do it. That's why you're here. So Yeah, let's do it. At any point, jump in, say something if you need to, stop me, chat. Oh, I guess I shouldn't hide the chat things. Oh, there's some chat things. Oh, good. Laura, you're going to ask questions. Will, I'm glad to think you think I seem normal. I'm probably not, honestly, but like I am.
He's fooling you guys, really.
I'm sort of human. I have a problem with Lego. Okay, so we're going to, section 1.1 is a big definition section. And it's the introduction to like, what is this? What is statistics? So the first thing you should note is that most big schools do not have a math department that includes statistics. They have a math department and a statistics department. And the two people, the two groups are like, I don't get the other people. Like they're separate things in the minds of the super intelligent, or the people that are like big in these fields. Statistics, I think many would say, is an art. And boy, I don't know what we'd say about math. Math is logic. Like, as long as we agree on the definitions, everything's the same. So there is like statistics is about saying, we think this is right. We're like 90% confident we know the answer. Where math says we know the answer. We followed all the logic. There's nothing wrong with it. So this is a pretty good overarching definition of what this field is. We do lots of things. We collect data. We organize it so that we can read it, which is part of what summarizing is. And then we analyze it to make conclusions or make some sort of answer. Like we did that right at the beginning of today's session. I said, how many of you want homework on Sunday? I didn't quite say that, but we had that response rate, right? And I said, oh, that's 4 out of 48, which is about 8.3%. I should multiply that by 100 to turn it to a percent. And so I thought, hey, if 8% of you all want your homework due on Sunday, then everyone in the class wants it done on Sunday. So I collected the data by listening to your verbal responses. I summarized it by doing this calculation, which is also kind of an analysis. And then I made an inference or drew a conclusion about it by saying, hey, everyone wants it. And that's what this thing is. That's what statistics is. What we're going to do in the first half of this course is focus on this part. How do we collect data? How do we organize it? Tables, charts, graphs. How do we summarize it? Mean, median, mode, all that mess. And then the last half of the class, we're going to do inferential statistics. How do we use the data we have to try to answer a question? So this is going to be a big deal. Descriptive statistics. It's what we'll be doing first. It's the organization, summarizing, and description of data, whether it's tables or graphs or numerical summaries like these. And it's numbers or things we got typically from a sample. It's what we collected. So it describes exactly what we talked about. Whereas inferential statistics takes the descriptive statistics from a small group of people and says, I can answer a question about everyone based on these descriptions. That's what I did here. I took the 8% and I answered the question about the entire class. So this is kind of an overview of things. So here's your first big set of definitions that you need. You need this. I would put this in your reference sheet, and you need this. Put this in your reference sheet. So we want to ask a question, right? I'm going to keep doing this homework one because it's not as political. I can throw in tons of fun political questions that we ask, and we use statistics to try to answer them. But we all want to be friends. So we'll stick with the homework one. So in my little scenario here, the population is all of us, all 133A dot I1 and I3 students, everyone, that's the population. And the question I wanted to answer was, when should we have our due dates for assignments? And so an individual of this population is any one of you in this group of everyone. Be careful. An individual is not just from the sample. Like our sample might not include the individual we're interested in. It's one thing that comes from the population. So big summary for population, keyword, all. Everyone that we're interested in to answer the question. Whereas sample is this subset of the population. Now I queried you all, there's 8 of you here that are students out of, I think, 24 students in this section. And 4 of you responded. So I had a 50% response rate. You all are my sample for this population. You're a small subset of the entire 2 sections. And we said, how many of you want homework due on Sunday? We got 8.3% of, well, actually we got 50% of you. So 4 out of 8, I think, responded. And I think there was 4 of you that said yes, I don't know. So that's 0.5 multiplied by 100, that is 50%. So 50% of the group in here said you want homework due on Sundays. I then inferred that that would be what everyone in the class would want. I used the small subset for the entire class. Okay. Super, super important. Your job in almost every part of statistics for the rest of this is to understand, is the data set we're given a population or a sample? How will you know? You're looking for the word all or an implication of the word all. And for sample, you're looking for a word that implies some. So if I say 10 people were talked to out of 5,000, you know the data from those 10 people represent a sample. Well, then we get another huge important thing that's going to crop up a lot of times. That is, if we actually want to claim something about the population from the sample, our sample needs to be unbiased. Otherwise, if there's bias involved, the sample is garbage. Whatever the results are from the sample, useless. How do we achieve this unbiased sample? Randomness. Humans are not random. Everything we do is a result of what our brain tells us to do, as far as I know. There might be some conditions and things that might seem random, but by and large, you can't be random. You choose everything you do. So that means when you create a sample, you can't think through what the sample is. You have to use some sort of random process. And we'll talk more about that in the future for how that happens. Okay, questions? I want to go, oh wait, no, let me relax you for just a second. Let's go to an example before I ask you to ask questions, and then I'm going to have you answer some questions. So here's an example. And this is a very common setup for almost every single problem you're going to face in the class. So this is a reading, everything you do in here is going to be about reading. And all the information you need, by and large, is in the prompt. You just have to pick out the pieces that you need. So we've got here that a recent survey of a random group of JC students. Notice we told you this. Now we could get into issues of trust of like, hey, is the person who wrote this lying or not? But that's not going to be, that's not the focus of this course. We're going to assume whatever has been told to us is true. So this tells us that this sample is unbiased. Boy, did I spell that wrong? Ooh. And the question is, which superpower would you prefer to have for yourself? And students were given this option: flight, invisibility, super speed, or super strength. And these are the results. So in the chat or on your microphone, how many students are in this sample? Note, I've told you that this is the sample. Okay, Laura, how'd you get 20?
I counted how many boxes were down, flight, invisibility, super speed, super speed, super speed. That was 5, and then across is 4. So I multiplied 5 times 4.
Okay, all right. Did you tell me you were bad at math before?
I am not the best at advanced math. I can do some simple math.
I'm just so happy that I could prove you wrong that you're good at math. Okay, love it. So it might, listen, I'm going to do my best to assume that nothing is simple, because nothing is simple in math, right? Like if you've learned it and been exposed to it, that's when it becomes simple. So part of the problem for instructors is like, I've taught this class probably 30 times, and I've probably done this exact problem at least 10 times. So for me, of course, it's super simple, right? I've done it. I don't even really think about when I do it. But for you all, it's brand new. And if you have no idea what's going on, it's not simple. So I'm going to do my best to assume things are not simple or easy. If I ever say that dirty, nasty word, you scream at me. Okay, so Laura nailed it. A great counting strategy, counted that there were 5 here, and then 4 columns, and then said that 5 times 4 is 20. If you didn't think that way, you could have literally counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And really, it comes down to determine the sample size here. We just had to count how many responses did we get. So 20. Note that the sample here is not 20 responses, it's the 20 JC students. By the way, most often we tell you how many are there because counting is for robots, not for us. It's really, you just tell the computer, count this for me, and it's done. But it's a good exercise. So next, chat or Mike, and this is the tough question. What do you all think is the population here? It's not explicitly stated, by the way. Ooh, so let's see what he got. Will, I love it. Saying again 20. Can you be more specific? 20 what? Love it. Now, let me real quick go back to our definition, because this isn't quite right. You're on the right path, Will. Love it. Sample is sum of all of the things or people we want to collect information from. So what we have to do first to infer here is, what really do we think? Oh, Shelby, okay, why do you say all JC students?
Because population uses the word all, and so this is based on JC students, and so all is the population, while the sample would just be the 20 JC students.
Love it, love it. So Will, first, thank you for saying 20, because that's the most common thing I get for people working with population. We want to state a number. Like it's 50 JC students, it's 5,000 JC students, it's whatever. Most often in this course, we don't know how many people or things are in the population. Most often we have to use the word all. There are a few times where we know it, like if we talk about how many US presidents there were, we know that number. I don't know it right now off the top of my head. Or if we're talking about the states and how many states are in the US, we know that number, I think 50. But typically we just have to take whatever our sample was, change the number to all, and we've got the population. Here's the thing we really want to think about is, what's the question here? What are we trying to answer by taking a sample, a random sample of 20 JC students? What do y'all think? It's actually not even there, is it? Yeah. I'll put it in the chat because that's maybe so.
Yeah, Taylor, I'm so with you. Yeah, I'll type it there. So the question, what questions? Let me change that. What question is example 1 trying to answer? And what I'm saying is it wasn't explicitly stated that researchers wanted to know blank. And so they took a recent survey of this many students and this is the result. We're trying to infer, so we're probably going to be wrong, but we can maybe get close, what the researchers are trying to answer. What question is it that example 1's information is getting at? Love it. Which superpower would you prefer? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm super excited. You all are so awesome. Notice the answers are getting, we had a nice broad answer from Taylor. Reagan or Regan? Help me with the pronunciation. You got a little, Reagan?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Reagan got a little more specific, and then Laura is like a mix between the two. So Taylor's answer is excellent. That's the question we're asking. Which superpower would you prefer? Now, if we think about this population, what the researchers are probably trying to do is answer a question about the all, and this is the all. So if we connect this question with the population, I think we get Reagan's question. What superpower would JC students prefer? And I want you to notice something in that language. There's an implied word all between the would and JC. Do y'all get that? I'll type it with the word that's absent. What superpower would JC students prefer? Would you all agree that the word all is technically there, like it's just hidden or it's implied? Oh, nice. Love that, Laura. That's great. You'll find that I'm really bad with typos too. So y'all please feel very comfortable making mistakes. That's why you're here, to make mistakes, and we help you through. I'm highlighting this all thing because there are places in problems that you're going to encounter where the word all is hidden. It's part of the weirdness of the English language. It's buried within the statement. Okay, I think we have beat this. We have gone crazy with this, so let's go a little further. Not quite as important as being able to identify these two things, the population and the sample, but it is important. I'm just going to tell you, it's any JC student, the individual. Key thing here is it's not one of the 20 per se. It could be one of the 20. It's one of the all JC students. Okay, so we can do some descriptive statistics here. And one of the things is to make a table. And we can list out our superpowers. We got what here? Flight is one, super speed, invisibility, and super strength. And what this table does for us is helps us kind of see the breakdown of how many people answered each, right? So we just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Frequency stands for how many. In case you didn't know, there were 7 of the 20 who said they would prefer flight. Super speed, I have next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5. If I make a mistake, you all just scream at me. Invisibility. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And super strength. 1, 2, 2. Okay. Quick question. Any way we could check to see if I'm correct? That pops out to you? Oh, I'm correct. How'd you know, Taylor? Oh, Ashley nailed it. Yeah, add that up to 20. So let's see, 7 plus 5 is 12, 6 plus 2 is 8, and those two added together equals 20. I'm going to introduce you to a little symbol you're going to see in the future. It's called sigma, or the summation notation. This means added. So the sum of all these is equal to 20. Wait, could I do that better? Probably not. I'll try. It looks kind of like this. There we go. That's maybe a little better. Yeah, that's a great way to check. We were told there was 20. We saw there's 20. Add it up, you'll see 20. In the future, you're going to see this happen a lot, where the sum is super important. Like if we want to know what % of the 20 students chose flight, is that a question? It is. We're just going to take the amount that chose flight and divide it by the total. Generally speaking, if you're not a fan of percents, this is how you calculate it. It's the part divided by the, let's not say whole, divided by the total. I don't know why I'm writing in red. That's like a bad color. And so this fraction is it's a representation of the percent. I don't know about you, but I don't know what that is as a percent. So I'm going to put these little squiggly lines, and in my calculator, I'm going to do 7 divided by 20. And I get, oh, I don't need squiggly lines because it's exactly 30.35. 0.35. If you forget a 0 in the front of a decimal, it doesn't bother me. If I want to turn that into percent, we multiply by 100. You could type that in your calculator. Maybe you remember from old school days, it has the effect of moving the decimal 2 places to the right, and that gets you 35%. So 35% of all those people chose flight. By the way, that's also the most frequently chosen one because it's the largest frequency. You'll learn later that that's called the mode, a kind of useless measurement, but one we learn about.
So Reagan's asking, when would we use the squiggly lines?
Great question. Remember the beginning, I did 4 divided by 48. Can you all see my calculator when I open that up? Okay.
Yes.
Oh boy, that's embarrassing. 4 divided by 48 is this, 0.833333333, right? So if I write that number down and I write 0.083, that is not exactly the number. I've rounded it to the 3rd decimal place. That's the 3rd decimal place. You're going to do that a lot. So because I've rounded it, I would put the approximate, that's what this means. Is there supposed to be 2 P's? No, is that? It's the approximate value. So this is just a way to show, hey, this isn't exactly what it's equal to, but it's about this. And then I often just from there say, well, if I want this as a percent, I'm going to multiply by 100. And I do the arrow, but at this point, we could say it's exactly 8.3% because this turned into a percent. Those are exactly the same. Does that help, Taylor? Oh, wait, no. Reagan, does that help? Okay, good. Can you, when I pull up the chat, can you all see the chat?
We can see it.
Well, can you see it on my screen? Like if someone sends me a private message, can you see that?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. Just as a general message, if you all are lagging, no worries. If it takes you a while to answer, no worries. Part of the struggle as a teacher is understanding how long to wait. And sometimes 2 seconds feels like 30 minutes for me when it's really only 2 seconds. So everyone's good. Okay, how do we know, what generalization might we make? This is doing inferential statistics. In other words, what comment might we say about all JC students based on this sample response? You can chat it, you can mic it. Okay. Oh, such great answers, you all. So Reagan, I love what you said, because it helps me introduce you to something that's super important. Most of is a vague word. It's not exact. And yes, statistics is all about vagaries, but we can attach a number to most of. Anyone know what it is? I'll give you a hint. In my opinion, which I could be wrong on this, most of is like the same word as majority. Let me see if I can write that. Majority. And so the real question is, what number do we attach to the word majority? In the stats world. And while you're thinking of that, Laura has the best answer, because you used the percentage from here to make the inference. You used the information from the sample, and we could have used any other of the percentages, but if y'all didn't see what Laura wrote, 35% of all JC students prefer flight. That's because we use this. Now, Reagan, your answer is good too. It's just not as precise. And I would argue in the words of most of, it might actually be a little bit wrong. Let's see what y'all said. Yeah, Reagan, you nailed it. Majority, or in my opinion, most of, would be over 50%, whatever that is. Now, if you think about stuff that happens in the government, there are like votes that have to have a 2/3 majority for something to pass, right? So there are sometimes we're interested in more than 50% for the majority, but mathematically speaking, we just need over half. If it's 50-50, then it's exactly equal. There's neither a majority nor a minority. And while we're at it, let's just throw in the word minority. All that means from a stats perspective is less than 50%. If you've heard that America is going to become a majority minority population, it's because in the not too distant future, there will be the largest people group defined by race or whatever will be less than 50%. So maybe like right now, the largest racial bracket, I think, is white. And I think it's over 50% right now, but in the not too distant future, that number might become 44%. So that's kind of where that's coming from. Oh, great question. Yes, if we wanted to make an inference here, we could have used any one of these numbers to make an inference. We could have said that, let's see, 5 divided by 20, which is 1/4, which is exactly 0.25. We could have said 25% of all JC students prefer flight. Yep, any one of those other things would be could be used. Okay. We said at the beginning that this is a random group, which means it's unbiased. But what if we told you that the random students we picked were only calculus students? What might we say about this generalization up here? What might we say about this? Yeah, biased. Yeah. This one is not like as so biased. Yeah, let's do that. So it's a biased sample, which means in terms of inference, we'll say the 35% is useless information, useless info about the population. It's just garbage. Now, it is useful to say like, hey, 35% of all JC calculus students prefer flight. That's useful. But if we're trying to infer about all, that's not useful. Yep, that nailed it, Ashley, nailed it. Yep. If we specified that this was specifically calculus students and that was our population, this would be a useful inference. Awesome. There's going to be times throughout the semester where you'll have questions where you'll just be asked to evaluate, hey, what kind of bias is in here? And what you're looking at is whether or not the sample was randomly drawn from the population. There are other types of bias that can be introduced. The biggest one is not doing it randomly, but other ones is what's happened here where we drew our random sample from a subset of the entire population, and that ruins the inference for the full population. Okay. So remember before I said your reference sheet should include population versus sample. And if we were to summarize these two things with words, population would be all, sample would be some. A specific number or the word subset, something like that. Well, understanding that definition ties into these next two words. These also need to go on your reference sheet. They crop up on the midterm and final exam. They become super important when you do hypothesis testing and confidence intervals. You need to know which number is a statistic and which number is a parameter. So a statistic is a descriptive measure. Now, we haven't gotten into what these are, but things like average. Okay, that's a bad color to do on there. Let's see. So, easy. So average or spread, etc. It's a calculation or a summarization of sample information, data from a sample. Oh, there's the examples right there. Good look. I could just read, couldn't I? Whereas the parameter is the same types of things, average, spread, something, but the calculation came from a population. Again, these are typically numerical. Not always, but typically. Most often in this class, this is unknown. We don't know the parameter, and we're using the statistic to find it. So, population. When we do calculations with population data, we're getting parameters. Sample, if we do calculations from our sample data, we're getting statistics. There's a nice little summary chart here for the quick definition of all that. It turns out not only do we need to distinguish between these two, but we also need to learn the symbols for when something's a population and when something's a sample. For example, in the not too distant future, we're going to talk about a measurement called the mean, which you all are probably familiar with. And if we have a number that we calculated from a population, we're going to use this symbol to represent the mean. It's called mu. If we have a population or a sample data set that we did a calculation with, we're going to have an X bar there. That's how we distinguish whether the number is from a population or a mean if it's not explicitly stated. Whew, okay, so here's what happens. This is what we do in statistics. We have some sort of study that we design, some sort of question we want to answer. There's an election coming up. We want to know who will be elected. So our question is, who is going to be elected? For, I don't know, I know, we got the governors up for election in this state. So we'll say Michigan governor. So in that case, if this is our question, then the population is Michigan residents. And actually, let's say it this way, Michigan voters. Anyone who can legally vote in Michigan is our population, because they are the people that will go to the polls at some point and choose between the two candidates. So if you're, say, one of the candidates and you're wanting to know what are my chances of being elected, you're going to go out and ask people, hey, who are you going to vote for? So you're going to draw a sample of Michigan voters. And the reason we do a sample is because, can you imagine trying to talk to every Michigan voter within like a week's worth of time and say, hey, who are you going to vote for? Like, it's almost impossible to get the population when you're trying to predict who's going to win. So we get a sample, needs to be random, needs to be representative. We better have some large city voters and some rural voters and some northern voters and southern voters of all over Michigan, right? So we get a good mix of who is the electorate. We ask them who are you going to vote for? So here we're collecting the data. And from that, we generate like the percent that say they're going to vote for a particular person. And then from that, we say, oh, hey, 73% said they were going to vote for this candidate. That means that candidate is going to win the election. That's the parameter. That's the population. Turns out the real population is only the people who voted on the day that you vote, what, November 7, right? So that's when the population value in Michigan is calculated. And if you are able to vote and don't vote, you don't count in that population because you didn't vote, and that's your fault. Maybe, right? Maybe not. Maybe you couldn't get to the polls or whatever. But that's how it's done in our political system. How do y'all feel about that? The statistics, not the voting part. Any questions on this mess? All right, I want to test you. So for Cindy's class, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, next Sunday, you're going to be turning in this worksheet. So this is page 455 of your course pack. And we would like you, oh wait, let me see. Okay, let me go through the questions I got here, because I got too excited about running around. Let me go back to this page. So Ashley says, does it take into account precast ballots? Yes, right? So any vote that's cast that gets counted on, whether it's on that day or it's a mail-in or whatever, the population is all votes that were cast. So, if a vote, like let's say an absentee ballot is sent in and the person didn't fill it out correctly and it gets thrown away, that vote would not be a part of the population being used to elect the new governor. So only votes that get counted go into this number. And what people are doing right now all over the nation and all of the places where there's elections is they're trying to predict, how is this vote going to go? So they're going out and talking to people and asking them who you're going to vote for. And from that data, they're saying, this is who's going to get elected. I don't know if any of you have gotten called. That happens. I got called once and they said, who are you going to vote for? And I said, this person. And usually that stuff is published on like Michigan Live is where that could be published. So Taylor, can you be more specific? You got confused after sample. Which part? I just about ended the meeting for everyone. I'm sorry, this is fun. Oh, okay, awesome. So Ashley, are you talking about the, let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, the precast ballots. I think that's probably an interesting thing to study. Researchers might be interested in that, like the early voting things. Is there a particular demographic feature of the early voters? And I think in the previous, yeah, definitely, Laura. Look, I'm almost always confusing. First off, it probably looks like I have a little ADD because I'm jumping all over the place. Let me take a deep breath. Okay. Oh, but just lost my train of thought. Yes, please tell me when you're confused. I know I'm very confusing. I often assume I'm not, which is, I have all the evidence in the world to know I am. So to Ashley's question about precast ballots, would that be a different subset? In terms of who wins the election, it's not, but it would be an interesting thing to look at. If you think about the previous election, Democrats were telling everyone, go vote early, get that ballot in right away. And Republicans were kind of saying, vote on that day. Like they were kind of a different messaging. I don't know if you all remember that. So in that case, most likely the majority of precast votes were Democrats, and the majority of on the day votes were Republicans. And if you think about kind of the mess we're in right now, that's kind of what happened, because the precast ballots weren't really calculated or counted until after the in-person ballots. So like there was a lag between the two. And that's could be part of the reason there was such a big mess. Okay, Taylor, I don't know what you're saying after, because I'm talking too much. After 5, it goes back up. Oh, I see. Yes. Okay. So after 5, what we're saying here is whatever we claim about this population is the conclusion that we're drawing about this. So it is kind of a circle. We design our study, and from that, we figure out who is a part of the population. We pick our sample from that population, get our data set, calculate all the descriptive statistics of that sample, and then use that data, those calculations, to make our inference about the population, which then says, hey, we've answered the question, we know who's going to win. You might also remember famously, awesome, Ashley, that back with the Trump-Clinton election, all the pollsters except for one person was predicting Hillary was going to win, or Clinton was going to win the election, which is not what happened. And so all of their stuff in here was problematic, and people are still trying to figure out why. I think maybe people have moved on. Awesome, you all. Okay. So I've been drinking way too much, and I have to take a quick break. So what I want you to do, beyond that being too much information, is go to this worksheet.
I think he means coffee, guys.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Not alcohol. Thank you, Cindy. I want you to go here and see if you all can't answer the first question. I'm turning on annotation. Or maybe I'm not. So try to answer that, and I'll be right back. We're going to do at least 5 minutes for this answer. Set a timer for 5 minutes.
So I'm not sure if you turned on annotation, that means that we actually are able to write in here. I've never done that before. But if anybody wants to talk about it, we can figure out. But with population, what is the very special word that we should be using with population? That's it, Laura, all. So the sample here, they're telling us right here, is a random sample of 100, what is it, faculty members' cars or something. 100 cars in the faculty lots of main campus. So I could probably say that our population would be all faculty members' cars. Again, I don't know if he has it on where we can write. I don't think it's on the whiteboard. Eric, did you have this where we were supposed to be able to write or no? You're on mute. You're on mute. That's okay. We were trying to lip read, but I didn't know if this was whiteboard or not.
I don't think you can write on the right board, but does anyone see the annotate button next to the pause? Probably not.
I don't see it.
Okay, so that's probably only for me. Sorry, I'm gonna have to figure out how we can all, a way we can all write. It might be I need to open things like in a Google Doc and we share that. I like how you're doing this right now. You're putting in the stuff in the chat. That works. I'm gonna suggest you need to be more specific for A.
Oh, no, I asked them a question.
Oh,
So they did good. I said, what was the special word that we need to use for population?
let me just get
Oh,
out of here.
no,
for a minute.
they did exactly right.
Love it.
So I think we had decided all faculty members' cars.
Awesome. Let me mute myself and turn off my mic and you all keep working. I don't want to get in your way. I'll write this down and then you all keep going.
So you guys remember when you do a sample, basically what you can do is go back up to your population. Yeah. And just take out the word all and replace that with the number. So population and sample, once you have a population or once you have a sample, they're really easy to go back and forth between those. So we'll get rid of our all and replace that with the actual number. So somebody want to say what the sample is now? Yeah. So 100 faculty members, we could say cars there. Yeah. And remember, we're mainly going to be working with population and samples, but there is the individual. In an individual, does anybody remember what the difference was? An individual, if I just say individual, what does that make you think? How many is that? It's being very, very specific. How many faculty members' cars would that be? Yeah, just one. So we could say one faculty member, I guess, car.
Okay, y'all, that was 5 minutes.
They got it. We're done with those three.
Should I write down the answers for you all, or is everyone good?
I think they probably have them. Did anybody want them written down?
Okay. So how did you all feel about the difference between a car and a faculty member?
It's kind of weird here, right? Because
It
it's
is.
Okay,
the
I
value of
have a
cars.
question.
Please.
For like B, is it 100 cars or is it, do you put 100 faculty members cars? Or can you just, is it just talking about cars now, no more about the actual people?
Great question. And I think that gets at like, what is exactly the population? Based on what we're doing, we're collecting the data, like what the car is worth. So really, we don't particularly care about who the faculty member is, just that they're faculty. We're interested in their car. So this is really the population is the cars owned by faculty members. So if a faculty member doesn't own a car, boy, I wonder what we'd say about that. I guess their car is worth $0. But then, so to your point down here, the 100 cars, if you read carefully, it doesn't say 100 faculty cars, right? It just says 100 cars that were parked in the faculty lot of main campus. And if you think about how parking worked, first off, there is no longer a faculty lot anymore.
So Eric,
And
I think though, when they put in their answer for this, it is going to be 100 faculty members cars. I just want to point that out to be correct, because this is one that is what is that, speed grader or something?
oh, gotcha. That's
So
gonna,
it is going to be faculty member cars.
yes, yes. And what I'm getting at is this could be a source of bias,
Yes.
which might be a later question.
And I think that is a later question.
So yes, good, great question. Okay, notice this, the individual in the study is any one faculty member's car, not one of the 100. And what did you all said the statistic was the 11,200?
We hadn't got there yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. How much time do we have? Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you try these next 1, 2, 3, 4. Will, I like that answer. That's good. Okay, I'll pretend like I'm not here, so you can talk it through.
So you guys, so remember he was talking about statistics and parameters. Statistics goes with things that are a sample. S goes with S, which he's going to be lecturing that. We kind of get that connection. Parameter goes with things that are with a population. And remember that's the word all. So we have what the sample of those 100 cars. We know what the average cost was. So how much was the average cost of those cars? Of those sample cars? Yeah, they gave us a number, didn't they? It was 11,200. So we have a symbol that we can use for sample. Yeah, there it is, X bar. So it's just an X with like a bar over it. This is a symbol that we'll be using that means average. So we don't have to write average equals 11,200. That is our statistic for average. So now remember, parameter. We want to have our special word. You guys know what it is now. You guys are going to learn that day one, and you're going to be using it day whatever that we're doing it December 15th on the final, the word all. So somebody want to come up, what would be the parameter? So parameters don't usually have an actual number, but we use a word all instead. Somebody want to come up with something. So remember what this was about. It was the average value. The average value of, yeah, Reagan, that looks really good. Perfect. So I might put in the JC faculty members cars. Yeah, average, that's it, Shelby. The average dollar value of all Jackson College faculty cars. Perfect. You guys got this. And then they're coming out and asking us, oh yeah, look at that symbol. Eric, we don't really know what that looks like, but you guys, it kind of looks like maybe like a what is that symbol? I know. Okay, so you guys, it kind of looks like a small cursive U, but it has like a little bit longer tail. It's called mu. Yeah, he's gonna show you. There it is.
Here.
Look at Will. He could just put it right in the chat. He didn't.
Oh, come on, Will.
know.
You're
Come on,
embarrassing me.
Will.
That's awesome. Well done. Did I tell you how old I was? Okay. So don't worry about that quite yet. I mean, we're getting there, but that's mu. That's the parameter value.
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
So yeah, like a cow says, mu. Is a cow say, oh, moo? Never mind. I'm really sure.
You know. That's what the stats cow says. So what do y'all think? Do we actually know that this is the value? Do we know this number?
Not exactly.
Nice, Gloria. Good. No. We inferred it. Is that 2 R's? From the sample. So Cindy's totally right. Like we just, most often we don't know this value, the parameter. In fact, if we could know the parameter, we wouldn't really need a whole lot of statistics because we just calculate that number and there's the answer. Inferential statistics.
So it'll be somewhere close to 11,200. It should be somewhere close to that. But obviously it's not going to be exactly 11,200.
Okay, and now the bias. What do you all think? What were some of the flaws in this sampling technique? Meaning, what are problems in that sample? I'll go back to the prompt if you all are needing to look at that. And really what this question is getting at is how good of a sample do we think this is in terms of representing the average cost of faculty members' cars?
That's a great one, Laura. Laura said that it's only taking in effect one campus. I do see random there, right there, Reagan. So I think they do. Yeah, no online. Eric and I right now, we're at home right now. Eric, I do not believe that they used to let us park, like we had a parking, used to be able to have like a pass that
Yep.
we had faculty member places where we parked, but it's no longer like that. So how in the world are you guys gonna, if we went out to take a sample, are you gonna know that it's a faculty member's car?
Yep, that's a huge one.
Because it doesn't, there's not specific places now where faculty members park.
And
They
even
took
before that,
away.
yeah, and even before that,
Yeah, oh yeah, students
students park
parked
there
and
anyways.
faculty, yeah, they park there.
The reason it's gone is it wasn't negotiated in one of the contracts. They just,
Oh, I always wondered.
so we gave it up, I guess, as a perk or whatever for faculty. And, you know, really, if you think about it, why would you let the faculty park the closest to class, if you're interested in helping your students be there the most, right?
Exactly. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Awesome, you all. That's fantastic. Those are three great ideas of why it could be not helpful. The other thing is, I wonder how many faculty there actually are. I happen to know there are 64 full-time faculty. I don't know how many part-time faculty there are. So
A
I know
lot.
there's a lot. So this may not represent, this may be too small of a number, but then when we get to average, you'll find out that we often don't need a very large number to make inferences, provided certain criteria are met. Hey, that's the first worksheet half done.
Yep.
We've got question 2 that we haven't talked about yet to go. So let's skip back to the notes part and let's take a look at the last part of it. Good job, y'all. Do you feel, raise of hands, you feel confident that you know the difference between a sample and a population? Is there a raise a hand button? There we go. Kind of. How
Where's
could
the
I
raise
move
the
you to,
hand
I
button?
nailed it. There's supposed to be a reactions button somewhere.
I'm looking for it.
Oh, it's under more.
You know what? I know there's one in breakout rooms to raise the hand, but I don't see it in the reactions here.
If you go in the, in the reaction, if you go in the ... there's.
Oh, I'm looking.
Reagan, great point. I think oftentimes, here's what I hope happens. When Cindy and I are talking through problems and giving explanations, I hope it sounds really easy because that suggests we're doing a good job explaining it. And then your job is to go do it by yourself to see if it really was good, which is part of why, like on Wednesday, the whole time is going to be doing problems, because then you can work through it and get stuck. And right when you get stuck, you can say, I got stuck here. Can you help me with that? And we'll talk you through that. Yes, Laura, same thing. That's why I was writing the answers on the screen for you to check. Hey, did you agree with that? And we could talk through if you got it right or not. I'm thinking if I manage the time correctly, we can probably get through almost all of the worksheets during class time for both 033 and 133. We'll see. Sometimes I talk too much, so you might want to just say, Eric, stop talking. Although I talk fast.
So again, usually I will be going over these notes with you, and Eric gets to do the fun stuff and do the worksheets with you. Yeah, too much coffee is right.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think people know that about me that have worked with me before. That
yeah,
the more coffee I drink, the crazier I get. Yes. Okay. So we need to hit one last thing for today's notes, and we got 14 minutes to do it, and that is this bit right here. So this is page 29 of your course pack. We need to be able to distinguish between categorical variables and quantitative variables.
And it becomes really, really important actually later. And I think in my early days of teaching this course, I didn't emphasize this enough, because if you can identify what type of variable you're working with, then you'll know which test to do. So qualitative variables are, they classify individuals in the experiment based on some attribute or characteristic. Boy, I don't think that's helpful. Let's go back to that example we just did. The researcher looked at cars in the parking lot. And so the data set was the type of car. That would be the first part of the data set. So if you looked at an Excel spreadsheet of their data, it might say, I don't know, Ford Taurus 2005, right? That's a name of the individual from the population. In fact, that's the name of the individual in the sample. But if you think about what the researcher was doing, they wanted to know the average cost of a faculty member's car. The name of the car isn't really what they were interested in. They probably went to, I don't know, the Kelley Blue Book thing or somewhere and found the value of the car. So qualitative will say, I don't know why, let's use my car, Toyota Corolla. My car is a 2008, I think, maybe a 7. It's held together right now by eBay tape, the front of it. It's great. Great car, though, it runs. So this is a qualitative measurement, this part. In fact, I might even argue that the year and the way it's being used here is qualitative. And then if we think about that research problem, I don't know what the value of this car is. Let's say it's 5,000 for junk parts is probably what it is. It's got a lot of miles on it. This is a quantitative measure because we've classified my car's value as being $5,000. It's a numerical value, this 5,000, and we can do calculations with it. I could add up all the values of cars in the parking lot and divide by how many cars, and I'd get a number that makes sense. If I added up all the names of the cars, Corolla plus Escape plus Taurus plus Viper, I don't know, like what does that mean? You can't add them together. You can't add names together. Doesn't make any sense. That's a key characteristic of the qualitative variable. We can't do calculations with it that are useful. Which is why I argue the year of a car isn't particularly useful. We can do calculations with the year, but like, I don't know what an average year would mean. Whereas if we took the age of the car, so like my car, it's what, 2022? And if I subtract 2008, I get how old my car is. Oh, scary, scary. 12 would get us to 20, so 14 years old. It's older than my girls, my goodness. This one, we could do meaningful calculations because we could talk about the average age of a faculty member's car. Let me pause there. How does that sit with you all? This is a really complicated thing. Once you've worked with it enough, hopefully it'll sink in and it'll make more sense. Does anyone have a particular question about either of these two? Yes, let's go down here. Example 4. So we're gathering information from a patient. And right now, I just want us to think about, is it qualitative or quantitative? So if we write down the patient's name, what do you all think? Qualitative or quantitative?
So you guys, another way to maybe think about this is if we're using qualitative, right?
Nice.
If you're saying things that are words, usually it would be qualitative. And if you're using things that are numbers, most likely, there are exceptions that it's quantitative. It does tell us underneath qualitative though, there are exceptions.
Here's one.
Numbers that are not mathematically useful. So things like your social security number, that just identifies you, or your phone number, that identifies you. If I want to, call Eric, I call his phone number, but that's his number that identifies him. Your patient ID number, if you were going to be a nurse, you obviously know the patient's name, but it identifies them by their number. So even though that's a number, it's qualitative. If we ask you guys, did you have the flu vaccine last year? You're going to say yes or no. That's a word.
The one that's tricky is the year you were born. I think Alana in her notes puts this as quantitative. I always argue that it's not the year you're born that matters, but the difference what I did up here, the difference between the year you were born and your age and the year it is now. Yeah, so Laura, I agree with you that I would see that as qualitative, and then your age, which is connected to the year you were born, would be quantitative. So that one's a little tricky. Is that feeling a little better, you all, between qualitative and quantitative?
You guys won't get the tricky ones on the test, don't worry. We wouldn't do that. We're not mean.
So all of the rest of these are quantitative. These are all quantitative.
There are things, and you guys, another thing about quantitative is there are things that can be measured. If you hear that word measured, you can measure body temperature, your shoe size. Oh, yeah, we're not getting into continuous or discrete, right?
Yes, we do need to talk about that. So let's do that now. But yes, that's a really great point. Quantitative means we can use a tool to make to get some sort of number that describes it. So measurement, 100% yes. So we do have to talk about the difference between discrete and continuous, because that's important for later on. It does make a difference in terms of how things are done, and it can be really tricky. So first, before we can describe a variable as discrete or continuous, it has to be quantitative. Has to be a number that we can do a calculation with. And then when we talk about a discrete variable, it means there's a specific set of numbers that can be used. 0, 1, 2, 3. Typically, we say no decimals or fractions. That's not necessarily always true. I don't want to say, but it's a great way to tell. Oh, no, it is. Yeah, no decimal places. Generally speaking, means it's discrete. Whereas continuous, we say it can be any number between a set of numbers. So if you think about parents with a newborn baby, they will early on, I did this, say, my child is 3 days old. And some people might get crazy and get even more specific. They're 24 hours old. Yes, Laura's right. Measurements are quantitative. So like a firstborn child, parents often know almost maybe down to the minute or second that child was born for a while. I think after the first month, I was like, oh, my child is alive. Who cares? That might be a nice distinction between discrete and continuous. Once you get into like the 1 year, 2 year old, that's all you report. I'm 5. I'm 39 years old. I don't say I'm 39 years old and 2 days. It's just 39. That's a discrete. Whereas if we take down to the hour, second, or minute, hour, minute, or second, that would become continuous.
So here's some other probably better examples than what I'm saying. Shoe size, even though there's these fractions, is discrete because there's no such thing as a 6.1758 shoe size. It's either 6 or 6.5. Whereas if we were to measure your foot, we could get as precise as we wanted to. We could get down to the nearest millimeter depending upon our measurement tool. So that's another good place to think about a measurement. Anytime we're measuring something with a tool, think body temperature, blood pressure, length of the foot, weight gain or loss, weight, all of that is continuous because we can get as specific as we want.
So things that have long decimals that are continuous. Things that are mainly like whole numbers or can be, you know, like shoe size that it can't be a long decimal are discrete. Definitely things that are whole numbers or that are countable are discrete.
So one of the places this tends to show up, this discrete versus continuous, is when we collect our data sets, and depending upon whether it's discrete or continuous, that will depend on how maybe we make a graph or what kind of test we use. So if you were to go back to the very first problem we did with the superpowers, we counted how many of each superpower. So the superpower is qualitative. When we started counting the frequency and doing calculations with the frequency, we were, oh boy, this is messy. We were working with discrete variables because we could only have a person be one thing. And then when we talk about the cars and the average value of the car, we're hitting continuous because money is always continuous. We go down to the nearest cent typically, but there are places that you can go to the 100th of a cent, like when you're dealing with millions of small parts or something. Okay, this is super abrupt. I wish I could stay and answer tons of questions, but I've got to scamper off to my next class.
So yeah, you guys, what I'd like you guys to do is finish that back side of that 1.1 worksheet that you have, and then come tomorrow and we'll go over it. Try getting what you just did and just try doing those. You don't have to get into the discrete and continuous on this one. You just do the qualitative and quantitative, and then just come tomorrow and we'll go over that.
And on Wednesday, we'll finish up, we'll do the other worksheet and some of the 2-1. So awesome, you guys. Don't be afraid to send us emails in between now and Wednesday.
And I will see you guys tomorrow. Sounds good. We'll let Eric go to his other class.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. It's nice meeting all of you.